Hello everyone, welcome to the third and final part of the tutorial for dynamic muscles in VRChat. In the previous tutorial we went through making the animations and animation clips for this effect to work, and in this tutorial we're gonna walk through senders and receivers, which is a new feature in VRChat's SDK. Without the newest SDK, this most likely wouldn't be possible, so make sure to always keep your avatar up to date and have the latest SDK. So once you created your clips and your parameters in the previous tutorial, go to your avatar and right click, create empty, make a new game object, and call it receivers. I have already a receivers empty, so I wouldn't do that, but it is best to keep your components organized. So once you created receivers, you would want to repeat the same process. Right click on your avatar, create empty, and call it senders. Okay, I already have senders, so I wouldn't do that, but you would definitely want a senders and a receivers game object. Now go to your senders game object and create two empty game objects like before. Call them hand left and hand right. There are other methods of doing this, but I find that this works best, especially if you're in full body. There are already default hand colliders and finger colliders in the SDK provided, but they don't always work, especially in full body. So I would definitely recommend this method instead. So you would want to have a hand left and a hand right. Okay, now when you create the game objects, make sure to set position and rotation to 0, or click on the dots and click reset, so they both are basically in the 0 position. And you would want to add a parent constraint and a VRC contact sender. So in the parent constraint, you want to select the waist. The wrist, not the waist. Don't select the waist. You want to select the wrist of your avatar as your source. So you want to expand your armature, go to hips, go to spine or shoulder, chest, whatever, wherever your wrist of your character is positioned, and basically drag it into the source. Okay? Once you do that, click activate, and it'll jump onto the wrist. It basically hooks itself to the wrist. You do the exact same thing with the right hand, so you would have two parent constraints, one on each component, one on each game object, sorry. And you would want the left wrist on the left hand and right wrist on the right hand. Okay? As for the settings for the receivers, you want the radius 0.01, no root transform. Make sure it's a sphere, 0.01 for radius. And the position, put it so that it basically ends up in the palm of your hand. For me, it's just the position 0.06 on the y-axis. Okay? Now, when you finish setting that up, you want to add a collision tag, a custom collision tag to each hand. So you go here, you click add, then you select custom in your collision tag, and you type in hand left, or whatever you want. Just keep in mind that you would need this later. So hand left would have a tag called hand left, and hand right would have a tag called hand right. Spelling, the letter capitalization and the spaces are very important, so make sure to remember what you named it. So using this method, we would have two sender objects on each hand that will send the receivers a collision with the tag hand left and hand right. Okay? Now, remember the receivers game object we made? We would need an empty game object inside of it by right-clicking and creating an empty and call it chest. This is the area I find to work best. You can have like more colliders or in different positions, but this works best with my tests and experience. It'll do it'll be basically more fluid and fluent when you move your arms, and it'll work in most situations. So I would recommend you keep it this way. So in the chess game object, you would need two VRC contact receivers. So simply just add component and type in VRC contact receiver and add two of them. So each one has a little different settings in comparison to the other one. For root transform, make sure to put the chest bone of your avatar in both of them. For radius, it really comes down to your avatar and the size of your avatar, but make it so big that it covers both of your palms. So when you're in T-pose, your arms would be at the edges of the radius, as you can see here. Okay? For me, it's 0.9, but for your size of avatar, it will be different. Also, make sure to play with the Y position, Y axis on the position, to put it basically where your collarbone is. Put the center of it to where your collarbone is, because usually when you flex, it would bring your arm closest to the center of this receiver, which will work with the proximity option that we're gonna use. So make sure to put the center of your receiver near your collarbone and make it as big that it would cover both of your palms. When you're done with it, for filtering, make sure to only have allow self enabled. And for collision tags, we would want to receive only from the two hands that we just created. So you would click add custom and you put in the tags for both hands, which was hand left and hand right. You put them both in these two receivers. Make sure to put one in each, not to add both hands to both sides. That would mess it up quite a lot. It would basically ruin it, so don't do it. So one receiver is for the left hand and one receiver is for the right hand. Okay? So for the right hand, you put hand right, and for the left hand, you put hand left. Now, for the receiver type, you want to put proximity, and make sure to put proximity for both of them. And for the parameter, you would want the parameter that you just created in the previous tutorial, which was flex L and flex R. So you would go to the chest, and where it says parameter, you would put flex R for the right hand and flex L for the left hand. And with all that, you are basically done. This causes the blend shapes to basically switch fluently once you bring your palm close to your collarbone, which will, generally speaking, flex your bicep. So you might want to tweak the numbers a little bit, or tweak your blend shapes after testing a couple rounds, and to see what it looks best for you. But that is the basics of this, and I hope you add it to your avatar and enjoy it. Thank you for watching this series of dynamic muscles in VRChat, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.